Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am participating in a spring Trash to Treasure collaboration with Sandra from the Schwoben's Nest, as well as other YouTube creators. I will link their channels in my description box below. If you like this kind of content, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel where I upload thrifting, decor, and DIY videos. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Nicole Northgarden. Here we go.
For this Trash to Treasure DIY, I'm going to be sharing two projects. The first, I'm going to be using these little miniature drawers that I pulled from the bins. I think they were part of a jewelry box, and some faux succulents and my tight bond glue, as well as some flower foam. I decided I really liked the finish on these drawers, so I was not going to paint them. I also really like the inside of the drawers. It's pink, and so I really like that too. So I decided I would just use them as they are. So the first thing to do was to put flower foam in the top drawer. And all I did was use a kitchen knife to cut the flower foam to the proper size. And then I pushed it in. I did not use any glue because I want this to be undoable if I decide to take it apart at some point. And then I glued the top drawer to the bottom drawer. And I wanted them to be kind of askew. You could definitely obviously glue them however you want, but that's how I wanted mine to look. And so I used my tight bond glue. A lot of you have asked me where this glue came from. So the funny story is that I did not have this glue until about 3 weeks ago. We were having a snowstorm and I was out of my Aleene's craft glue. So I asked my hubby to drive me to the hardware store. And so he drove me to the hardware store and I thought, I'll just get a glue there. And this is what I found there. And I absolutely love it. I don't think I'll go back to Aleene's. This works really well. So anyway, I used my tight bond glue to glue the top drawer to the bottom drawer. And then I just started arranging my little faux succulents. Again, I did not use any glue. I like to take my arrangements apart and change them. I get bored. So I didn't want this to be permanent. The last thing I did once the succulents were arranged was I used some reindeer moss from my stash and my tight bond glue and just glued the reindeer moss to the foam wherever it was showing. So I just covered up the green foam. I kind of just kept turning the faux succulents and kind of looking to see where it needed the reindeer moss. And this is what it looked like when all of that was done. This was definitely easy to put together, but I really like how it turned out. And I love the wood tones and the greens, and I'll be able to use that definitely different places in my decor. For the second spring Trash to Treasure that I'm sharing, I wanted to use this box to create for myself a faux sewing machine drawer. I often see those drawers when out at vintage shops, and they can be pretty pricey. So I wanted to try to make my own. I had this lion drawer pull that I found at a yard sale on that old drawer this summer. And then I also am going to use some blue ball jars that I picked up at the BINS recently. You'll see them in my haul this weekend, as well as some florals that I already had in my stash. And then I also used twine, but that's not shown here. So a lot of times the sewing machine drawers are wood tone, but because this is already painted, I wanted to go ahead and just paint it and make it easy for myself. I had thought about painting it a color, but in the end I decided to go with white so that I can use it not just for spring, but for other holidays as well. So I used my Rust-Oleum linen white and I gave the box 2 coats of chalk paint. It was great because I was painting over a dark color, which when I distress it later on makes it much easier. So, I always like to paint white over a dark color because I like the distressed look. But this time I didn't have to paint the box a dark color. It was already dark for me. For the front of the drawer, I had the lion drawer pull, but a lot of times on these vintage sewing machine drawers, the drawer pull is on a medallion or some other type of embellishment on the front of the drawer. So I wanted to add an embellishment. So I went to my stash and I found this old miniature chalkboard which I had clearly tried to write something on at some point and didn't like it, and so then I just stuck it in my stash. It did have a clothespin on the back of it initially, so I pulled that off and I gave it 2 coats of the linen white. And again, I was painting over a dark color, which will make it easier when I distress it later on. Then I let that dry for a little while, and once it was dry, I came in with my 220 grit sandpaper and just started sanding off some of the paint so that I would have a distressed look on both the medallion and then also on the drawer itself. Next, I attached the lion drawer pull to the little miniature chalkboard that I had painted. I did at first use E6000, but that did not work, so I actually came back with my Type Bond glue, and that worked like a charm. I let that dry for about 20 minutes, and then I took my glue again and glued the whole piece to the front of the drawer. And once that was dry, I filled the drawer with my canning jars that I had put florals in. I should add, some point in this process, I also wrapped twine around the tops of the canning jars, but somehow I don't have footage of that. So I filled the drawer, and I absolutely love how it turned out. Here is my finished product, and then my other finished product. Sorry, the lighting in this shot is not the best. I always craft late at night, so the lighting is always poor. But anyway, I really love how these 2 projects turned out. So you have the actual drawers that I turned into a planter, and then you have the box that I turned into a drawer. And that's all that I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I crafted these 2 items from trash to make treasure for my home for the springtime. If you like this kind of content, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel, where I upload thrifting, decor, and DIY videos. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Nicole North Garden. Until my next video, thanks for watching.